Hello, this is Dr. Kunta Anjanelu, guest degree lecturer in Political Science, Tribal Welfare Degree College for Men at Jadcherla. Today, topic is Constitutional Development during the British Rule Acts of 1773 to 1935. Introduction. So, Britishers, they were come from in our India purpose of in trading system. They are come from in 1600 year and they were established in East India Company. So our topic is in our Indian Constitution framing. So the present Constitution of India is the result of long history. The Constitution is gradually and continue change ever since it became a colony of British Crown. East India Company rule up in 1857 revolt. So constitutional development after the act of in constitutional development after the act of in 1858. So the Britishers they gives to the first permission in East India Company and then they were start to the in their trading system in India in various places. First of all, they were established first trading system in Gujarat in the year of 1612, and then they were established in next trading center of in Madras at Chennai. At the same time, Machilipatnam in the year of 1639. So British Queen Elizabeth I gives to the permission in a East India Company in the year of 1600 December 31st. The charter was constantly renewed by the British Parliament during the subsequent years. So, before Sipai Revolt or 1858 Act, we call as a regulating acts. Regulating acts. Then after 1858 Act, we call as a council acts. Council acts. So first one is Regulating Act 1773. So this act giving to the some futures. It was the first setup taken by the British government to control and regulate the affairs of the East India Company in India. And this act giving to the another future, it recognized for the first time the political and administrative functions of the company. And it lead the functions of the central administrations in India and this act it designed the governor of Bengal as the Governor General of Bengal, Governor General of Bengal, an executive council of 4 members to assist him. The first, the first Governor General Warren Hastings, and this act it made the governors of Bombay and Madras presidencies subordinate to the Governor General of Bengal, unlike earlier when the three presidencies were independent of one another. And this act it provided for the establishment of a Supreme Court at Kolkata in the year of 1774, comprising one Chief Justice and three other judges. And this act it prohibited the servants of the company from engaging in any private trade or accepting presents or bodies from the natives. And this act is another feature is strengthen the central of the British government over the company by requiring the court of directors to report on its revenue, civil and military affairs in India. So next act is amendment amending Act 1781. Amending Act 1781. In a bid to rectify the defects of the Regulating Act of 1773, the British Parliament Amending Act of 1781, also known as the Act of Settlement, Settlement exempted the government, the council from the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court for the acts done by them in their official capacity. Similarly, it also expected the servants of the company from the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court for their official actions. It excluded the revenue matters and the matters arising in the collection of revenue from the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. And then this act provided for the another future. It provided that the Supreme Court was to have jurisdiction over all the inhabitants of Kolkata. It also required the court to administer the personal law of the defendants. Hindus were to be tried according to the Hindu law, and Muslims were to be tried according to the Muhammadian law. It laid down that the appeals from the provincial courts could be taken to the Governor General in Council and not to the Supreme Court. It empowered the Governor General in Council to frame regulations for the provincial courts and councils. Next act is Pitt's India Act. Pitt's India Act. So, so Fits India Acts also giving to the some of the futures. It distinguished between the commercial and political functions of the company. So uh, this act, it provided to the so many futures, and another future is it allowed the court of directors to manage the commercial affairs, but created a new body called Board of Control to manage the political affairs. Thus, it established a system of double government. It empowered the Board of Control to supervise, supervise and direct all opportunities of the civil and military government or revenue of the British opportunities properties in India. So next act is Regulating Act 1786. Regulating Act 1786. So this act also providing for the so many futures. Those, which one is in 1786, Lord Cornwallis was appointed as the Governor General of Bengal. He placed two demands to accept the post. And next feature is he should be given power to override the decision of his council special cases. And next feature is he would also be the commander in chief. Accordingly, the Act of 1786 was enacted to make both the provinces. And next act is Charter Act 1793. Charter Act 1793. So it extended this act also gives to the so many features. Which one is it extended the overriding power given to Lord Cornwallis over his council to all future governor generals and governors of provinces. And next one is it give the governor general more powers and control over the governments of the subordinate presidencies of Bombay and Madras. And next one is it extended the trade monopoly of the company in India for another period of 20 years. And next one feature is it provided that the commander in chief was not to be a member of the governor general's council unless he was so appointed. And next another feature this act it laid down that the members of the board of control and their staff were henceforth to be paid out of the Indian revenues. So next act is Charter Act 1813. Charter Act 1813. So this act is very important act of in our India. So this act also providing some of the main features. Those first one is it abolished the trade monopoly of the company in India. Trade monopoly of the company in India. The Indian trade was thrown open to all British merchants. However, it continued the monopoly of the company over trade in tea and trade with the China. So this act is provided one feature. Main feature is uh, it has it has control to the trading system. Only East India Company it have only uh, trade in a tea and trade with the China only. Next one feature is this act. It asserted the sovereignty of the Britain Crown over the company's territories in India. Next feature is it allowed the Christian missionaries to came to India for the purpose of enlightening of the poor people. And next feature is this act. It provided for the spread of Western education among the inhabitants of the British territories in India. And this act provided in another future. It authorized the local governments in India to impose the taxes on persons. They could also punish the persons for not paying taxes. So next Charter Act is 1833. So this act also very important act in our India. So Britishers they made in some features according to this act. Those features is first one is it made the Governor General of Bengal as the Governor General of India and vested in him all civil and military powers. Thus the act created for the first time Government of India having authority over the entire territorial area possessed by the British in India. Lord William Bentinck was the first Governor General of India. So this act it has provided so many features and second one is it deprived the governor of Bombay and Madras of their legislative powers. The Governor General of India was given exclusive legislative powers for the entire British India. The laws made under the previous acts were called as regulations, while laws made under this act were called as acts. So next one feature is it ended the activities of the East India Company as a commercial body, which became a purely administrative body. It provided that the company's territories in India were held by it in trust for his majesty, his heirs and successors. So next one feature is the Charter Act of 1833 attempted to introduce a system of open competition for selection of civil servants and stated that the Indians should not be debarred from holding any place, office, and employment under the company. However, this provision was negated after opposition from the court of directors. So, next Charter Act. Next Charter Act. Charter Act of 1853. Charter Act of 1853. It this act also provided for the so many futures. So first one is it separated for the first time the legislative and executive functions of the Governor General's Council. So it provided for the next one feature is uh, this sorry separated of the legislative and executive functions in the Governor General's Council. It is the establishment of the parliamentary system in India. Parliament system in India. So it provided for the addition of 6 new members called legislative councillors to the council, and other additional members, 6 new members are called legislative councillors to the council. And then next feature is this act. It established a separate Governor General's Legislative Council, which came to be known as the Indian Legislative Council. Known as the Indian Legislative Council. So the next feature is this legislative wing of the council functioned as a mini parliament, adopting the same procedures as the British Parliament. Those legislation for the first time was treated as special functions of the government, requiring special machinery and special process. So another feature is this act. It introduced an open competition system of selection and recruitment of civil servants. Recruitment of civil servants. The convented civil service was those thrown open to the Indians also. Accordingly, Macaulay Committee, accordingly, Macaulay Committee was appointed in 1854. Next Charter Act, next Charter Act 1853. So this act also provided for the so many features. So first one is it extended the company's rules and allowed it to the retain the possession of Indian territories on trust for the British crown, but it did not specify any particular period. Unlike the previous charter, this was a clear indication that the company's rule could be terminated at any time the parliament liked. And next one feature is this act. It introduced for the first time local representation in the Indian Legislative Council. So it introduced for the first time local representations in Indian Legislative Council. For the 6 new legislative members of the Governor General's Council, 4 members were appointed by the local governments of Madras, Bombay, Bengal, and Agra. So, and next feature is, as per this act, abolish the East India Company powers. British government directly ruled by the India. Sorry, next act is Indian Council Acts 1858. Indian Council Act 1858. As per this act, abolish the East India Company powers. Abolish the East India Company powers in this act. So next feature is this act. British government directly rule the India. So After this act, British government directly involved to the in Indian administration system and other systems. So the next feature of this act, the act created the office of the Secretary of State for India and the Indian Council to assist the Viceroy. This act is created new post, office of the Secretary of State for the India and the Indian Council. It assisted the Viceroy. So first Viceroy in India, Charles John Canning. Charles John Canning. And first Indian Secretary Lord Stanley. First Indian Secretary Lord Stanley. First Viceroy we call as Charles John Canning. John Canning. So next uh, Act, Indian Council Act 1861. Indian Council Act 1861. As per this act, British Parliament that transferred India's Executive Council to functions as a cabinet run on the portfolio system, which was Macaulay introduced in 1859 this portfolio system. So, and this act second feature is, as per this act in 1862, established high courts in Calcutta, Mumbai and Madras, and then in the year of 1816, High Court of Allahabad also. So next feature of this act, as per this act provided the powers to issued ordinance the Governor General. This, as per this act, provided the powers to issue the ordinance the Governor General. So next act is Indian Council Act 1891. In 18 the main features of this act in 1862, Lord Canning, the then Viceroy, nominated three Indians to his legislative council: the Raja of Benares, the Maharaja of Patiala, and Sir Dinakar Rao. So it also provided for the establishment of new legislative councils for Bengal, northwestern provinces, and Punjab, which were established in 1862, 1886, and 1897 respectively. It empowered the Viceroy. It empowered the Viceroy to issue ordinances without the concurrence of the Legislative Council during an emergency. The life of such an ordinance was 6 months. The life of such an ordinance was 6 months. Indian Council Act, and this act provided to the another futures. It increased the number of additional members in the central and provincial legislative councils. Central and provincial legislative councils. It, and next future is it increased the functions of legislative councils and give them the powers of discussing the budget and addressing questions to the executive, and it provided for the and it provided for the nomination of some, and it provided for the nomination of some non-official members of the Central Legislative Council by the Central Legislative Council by the Viceroy on the recommendation of the Provincial Legislative Councils and the Bengal Chambers of Commerce. Bengal Chambers of Commerce and that of the provincial legislative councils by the governors on the recommendation of the district boards, municipalities, universities, trade associations, jamindars, and chambers. Jamindars and chambers. So next, Indian Council Act 1909. 1909. This act is also known as the Morley-Minto reforms. Minto-Morley reforms. So Lord Morley was the then Secretary of the State for India, and Lord Minto was the Viceroy of India. Lord Minto was the Viceroy of India. The number of members in Indian Central Legislative Council was raised from the 16 to 60. 16 to 60. The enlarged the deliberative functions for the legislative councils at both the levels. For example, members are allowed to ask supplementary questions, move resolutions on the budget, and so on. Okay, next feature of this act, 1909 Act, it provided for the association of Indians with the ex executive councils of the viceroy and governors. Executive councils of the viceroys and governors. Satyendra Prasad Sinha became the first Indian to join the viceroy's executive council. Satyendra Prasad Sinha became the first. He was joined the executive council. He was appointed as the law member also. He was appointed as the law member also. So next act is Government of Indian Act 1919. Government of Indian Act 1919. On August 20, 1907, the British government declared for the first time that it is objective was gradual gradual introduction object. So next act is Government of Indian Act 1919. On August 20, 1917, the British government declared for the first time that its objective was the gradual introduction of responsible government in India. Gradual introduction of responsible government in India. And next feature is this act. This act is also known as Montague-Chelmsford reforms. Montague-Chelmsford reforms. Montague was the Secretary of State for the India. Montague was the Secretary of the State for the India, and Lord Chelmsford was the Viceroy of India. Viceroy of India, and then this act provided for the another feature. It introduced for the first time bicameralism and direct elections in country. Bicameralism and direct elections in country. So the Indian's Legislative Council was replaced by a bicameral legislature consisting of an upper house and lower house. Upper house and lower house. Upper house uh, we known as Council of States. Upper house we known as Council of State, and lower house we call as a Legislative Assembly. Legislative Assembly. The majority of members of both the houses were chosen by direct elections. The majority of members of both the houses, they were chosen by the direct election. Direct election. So, and next, this act provided for the other future. It is it extended the principle of communal representation by providing separate electorates for Sikhs, Indian Christians, Anglo Indians, and Europeans. So this act is uh, extended for the other people, extended for the other peoples in communal representation uh, for the Sikhs, Christians, Anglo Indians, and Europeans. It grant and next feature is it granted franchise to a limited members of people on the basis of property, tax, or education. It granted franchise to a limited number of people on the basis of property and tax or education. So, and this act giving to the other futures, it created a new office of the High Commissioner for India in London. It created a new office of the High Commissioner for India in London and transferred to him some of the functions. Some of the functions Ethito performed by the Secretary of State for India. Ethito performed by the Secretary of the State for India. It provided for the and next feature is it provided for the establishment of Public Service Commission. It provided for the establishment of Public Service Commission. Hence, a Central Public Service Commission was set up in the year of 1926. Central Public Service Commission was set up in the year of 1926 for recruiting civil servants. Recruiting civil servants. So it separated for the first time provincial budget for the central budget, provincial budget from the central budget, and authorized the provincial legislatures to enact their budgets. Authorized the provincial legislatures to enact their budgets. And this act this act giving to the another important feature is it provided for the appointment of a statutory commission to inquire into and report on its working after 10 years of its coming into the force. So new committee was appointed. That committee as statutory committee. And last act is in Government of Indian Act 1935. Government of Indian Act 1935. So this act is very important act, because British Parliament, British Parliament, he was making in a big act, big act. So this act uh, was giving to the so many sections in our Indian Constitution. We taking to the 247 sections in this act. So this act giving to the so many important features. Those first one is this act marked as marked a second milestone towards a completely responsible government in India. This act marked a second milestone towards a completely responsible government in India. It was a lengthy and detailed document having 321 sections and 10 schedules. 321 sections and 10 schedules. It provided for the establishment of an all Indian federation consisting of provinces and princely states as units. It provided for the establishment of an all Indian federation consisting of provinces and princely state as units. So this Government of Indian Act 1935, it provided to the so many futures. So next one is the act divided the powers between the center and units in terms of three lists. In terms of three lists. First one is federal list or state list. Federal list or state list. This list have a 59 items. This list holding to the 59 items. And second one is provincial list. Provincial list. Uh, for the provincial list having in a 54 items. 54 items. And the concurrent list. Both of them central or provinces, they were made in laws. In this list having in a 36 items, 36 items, and remaining powers we call as a residuary powers. Remaining powers we call as a residuary powers were given to the viceroy. Were given to the viceroy. However, the federation never came into being as the princely states did not join it. However, the federation never came into being as the princely states did not join it. And next feature is this act. It abolished diarchy in the provinces. It abolished diarchy in the provinces and introduced provincial autonomy. Introduced provincial autonomy. At the same time, it uh, it uh, it introduced the diarchy system in the central level, and in its place, the provinces were allowed to act as autonomous units of administration in their defined spares. Defined spares. And this act giving to the other feature is this act marked a second milestone towards a completely responsible government in India. It was a lengthy and detailed document uh, having to the 321 sections and 10 schedules. So it provided for the adoption of diarchy at center. It provided for the adoption of diarchy at center. So diarchy system is reserved and transferred issues. Reserved and transferred issues. And consequently, the federal subjects were divided into the reserved subjects. Consequently, the federal subjects were divided into reserved subjects and transfer subjects. However, this provision of the act did not came into operation at all. However, this provision of the act did not came in did not came into operation at all. It introduced bicameralism in 6 out of 11 provinces. First time, this act introduced bicameral system in state levels or provincial levels. those the legislatures of Bengal, Bombay, Madras, Bihar, Assam, and the United Provinces and the United Provinces were made bicameral consisting of a legislative councils were made bicameral consisting of a legislative councils. Those upper house and the lower house. Upper house and lower house. So, however, many restrictions were placed on them. So, this act providing to the another important feature is it further extended the principle of communal representation by providing separate electorates for depressed classes, depressed classes such as scheduled castes, scheduled castes are women and laborers or workers. So this act extended the principle of communal representation, depressive classes and women and laborers. And this act extended extended franchise about 10.6% of total population got the voting rights. Previously acts likewise 1919 act 1919 act it extended franchise about the 2.6% of the total population got the voting rights. But 1935 act it provided 10.6% of the total population got the voting rights. So next one feature is it provided for the establishment of a Reserve Bank of India to control the currency and credit of the country. First, first. So it was RBI, Reserve Bank of India. It was established in 1935, in the year of 1935, and RBI to control the currency and credit of the country. Control the currency and credit of the country. So next feature is it provided for the establishment of not only a federal public service commission, not only federal public service commission, but also a provincial public service commissions, provincial public service commissions, and joint public service commissions and joint public service commissions for two or more states or provinces. Two or more states or provinces. So this act provided for the next feature is it provided for the establishment of a federal court, federal court, which was set up in 1937, which was set up in a 1937. So uh, conclusion conclusion I concluded this topic. So finally, what we say in our Indian Constitution gradually increased, and we take into the some features in various acts from to 17 from to 17 73 to 1935 acts. From 1773 to 1935 acts. Thank you.